I love taking pictures on film, and Kodak is one of the best brands that provide film. I love their packaging, but I wanted to try to recreate it into something more designy. So in this video, let's redesign Kodak packaging. I had the idea of creating a blur across the packaging, so the box. I thought it would act as kind of a light leak that you also see in film photography a lot. And I wanted each type of film to have a different colored blur to distinguish them. I already had traced the box design and put it into Illustrator, so now I'm just adding the blur to it, and that's the basis for the packaging. I wanted the packaging to focus a lot on typography, so I'm keeping the elements to a minimum and really focusing on the essence of the packaging. So what do people want to know when they look at it? What visuals do we need to make an impact? And what are the best ways to do that, mainly through typography? So as you can see, I'm using just a very simple font for the logo. I didn't even redesign the logo, I just wrote the text because that's not the focus here. But I used Pretender, I don't know. But it's my new favorite font, and I reduced the tracking a little bit. So then I'm adding some extra type around it. For example, the type of film that is in there. And you will see I often add a square and then resize the text. For me, it's just easier this way because I make changes to the text, like the tracking, and if I just adjust the size of the font, the point size, it will also change the settings, so I have to keep changing it. But if I, select the square as well, it will change everything together. So I'm also just working on a few additional visuals. For example, the Sunny 16 rule. This is already on the packaging of Kodak originally, and I really liked it, so I'm recreating it in the same style for the design. So if you know a thing or two about film photography, you know the Sunny 16 rule is like the golden rule, but I always forget it, so having it on the packaging is super nice. This is the kind of information that you want on the box, and that is really smart in the whole marketing, because it makes the packaging unique, but it's also adding more value for the customer. And I also made some illustrations to go with this, but I didn't record it because it took some time. So they're very simple illustrations. And now it's time to just position all the graphics and separate elements I made onto the packaging. So I'm keeping it very simple and just focusing on the essence, like I mentioned earlier. So I just also added some simple type about the content on the sides, like the colored film for print, also using the logo quite a few times, adding recognizability everywhere, like from whatever way you look at the packaging you will see the logo. It's pretty much the idea. And it's also nice filler text. Alright, so now that the design itself is done, it's time for my favorite part. You all know it, it's the mockups. So this mockup is actually not a real box for film, but it kind of has the same measurements and shapes, so I just used it. I got it from Eden, in case you're curious. They have really great free mockups as well. And as you've probably seen in some of my videos already, is that I like designing everything in Illustrator first and then directly pasting it in Photoshop. I think it saves me a lot of time, and it's so much easier for me to just work out everything in Illustrator first. Honestly, the hardest part here was actually aligning the gradient. I had to do everything side by side for the mock-up, and also 3 or 4 times because there are 4 boxes and I have to show every side. But I don't mind, it was really fun to do this. Also, I want to say that I really like this orange color that I picked. It's very vivid and bright, but also works super well with the sort of beige background that I chose. It gives a bit of a vintage feeling that I wanted to achieve, because film is obviously kind of like a vintage product. So I still wanted to keep that feeling, even though the packaging is kind of modern with the typography focus. So I'm just adding all the sides separately to all the mockups, to all the boxes. And last but not least, also of course, the Sunny 16 rule. I really like the illustration. It really adds a nice feeling to the packaging. Packaging design is honestly one of my favorite things to do. It's so fun. And because I really like the Sunny 16 rule, I thought it also made a great brand asset. So I also made it as a bag design, because who doesn't want to carry around the Sunny 16 rule with you every day? Maybe it's only me that always forgets it though, but yeah, okay, maybe I just made this design with myself as a target audience, but it looks nice. It's a nice illustration. And I kind of also just made a card with it because I couldn't get enough of it. It's a nice addition that you would get with the bag, for example. If you buy the bag, you get the card. So anyway, here's the finished result of all the assets that I made with this design. I like to just think of assets that I can make with a design that fits with the product. So I try to expand on the brand assets as much as I can and see how we can use them in all different ways.